the Go Berserk with Email podcast with Navy nuclear engineer turned email software developer, Troy Broussard. So calm.
I'm pissed off, but I'm telling this because I am teaching you how to think differently and how to test differently.
So patient.
And Ben, that's put $500,000 into this company too, is being told that nobody can find the goddamn bug.
So charitable.
I'm going to start paying bounties every time somebody finds a bug. We're going to deduct $10 for that week.
So trusting.
Do not assume that anything works. Assume that nothing works.
And so sweet, it makes sugar taste just like salt.
I want to play into the sexiness of marketing automation, but I also want to slap the complexity of it.
The Go Berserk with Email podcast begins now.
All right, we're back once again with Mr. Troy. Brother, what do you have for us?
Well, I figured that after I did my assault on the marshmallow chasing TikTok brain and the recent episode, that I would come at it from the opposite perspective and focus in on 5 unusual habits that will make you more sales. So let's get rocking and rolling, Jonathan.
Yeah, buddy, I love sales.
So this first one is the one that I will get the absolute most pushback on. And yet it's probably the single most effective thing that I have done in the recent decade of my businesses. And that is doing less.
No. No.
When you focus on doing less, you give yourself more time and you quit chasing and just being hurried and in a frenzy state of mind. So I like to say more walking and more thinking. And what I mean by that is I take a lot of long walks, and on those walks, I occasionally am listening to audiobooks when I just want to chill, when I really just want to go into kind of entertainment mode. I'll listen to audiobooks, but they're not fiction books, they're business books. So even in my chill state of on a walking, I'm still learning, right? But my most productive time is when I'm not engaged with that at all. And instead, I'm just allowing deep thought. It's kind of like a walking meditation for me. I can let my brain go where it goes. There's science that supports this when you're actively engaging in exercise, but low impact exercise like walking or riding a bicycle, but casually riding, not pushing it hard, right? Where it's just low intensity activity. It releases some chemicals in the brain and it just boosts your concentration, your focus, your creativity, all of that. And so I really leverage this. And I, for several years now, have set it up where I don't work on Fridays. Friday is my day to really just spend some time. Frequently, it'll be a 5 to 10 mile walk that I go out on Friday and just allow myself. Yeah.
Nice.
It's been a little bit less for a while because I have a torn calf muscle. And so it's held me back a little bit. But I did a 6 mile walk on Saturday, for example, this past week. So, and frequently 5 to 10. And Ben and I have done this where we're doing it, we coordinate it, and it's like synchronized swimming. We have East Coast to West Coast coordinated 10 mile walks. And we've done a new one. And on top of just doing it, we've actually created products on those calls and sold them. So I have this whole training that I created, and it's all done on Marco Polo, back and forth with both of us on a 10 mile walk. It's called The Cruel Tutelage of Troy May. And it's based on, the Kill Bill Cruel Tutelage of Pei Mei. And so we did that whole series. The entire thing was created on a 10 mile walk while we were out getting some exercise and going back and forth on Marco Polo. And then we edited it down and created it into a video and all of that. So
neat. That is neat.
That is a productive aspect of it. But I really think you get the most of it on just the more thinking time spent on it, just allowing yourself to take a breath and not be so in the frenzy of the day-to-day, what you got to get done, and your head just can't even breathe, right? This is about creating some mental breadth and opportunity to think. And, I know thinking is a challenging thing for this culture these days, but the more you think,
We're not all marshmallow brains, okay?
honestly,
So no, seriously though, I love this stuff, and so now I'm going to start asking questions and making us take too long. But your walks, is there a minimum time that happens for you? Like, can you do it in a 30, or do you need at least an hour?
I can do it in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And what happens is that the spectrum of productivity, creativity versus just short-term stuff is in direct correlation with the amount of time. So
Okay.
when I go on a long walk, I spend much more time in deep thinking, but I'll go for a short walk, just walk around, the block and a half-mile walk or something like that. And in that time, then I go into productivity. So what I'll do is I'll sit there and just on the phone and capture it and just come up with a whole bunch of brainstorming ideas for a product that I'm creating or a whole bunch of email topics that I want to write on. And I use it for brainstorming time
Okay.
on a very short walk. Now, if it's a half an hour walk or an hour, then I might take that list that I brainstormed of email topics and actually write the emails
Yeah.
and write 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 emails on the walk audibly and transcribe and send them out later. So as I progress in the time spectrum of how long the walk is, I go from more brainstorming to productivity to deep thinking.
So one more question before we get off of this. On your walks, you said sometimes you listen to audiobooks. Is there other times that you just don't listen to anything and just have like, what are they, noise canceling headphones pretending, or how do you do that little mental hack there?
I typically set out on a walk with an objective. So if I'm setting out to just kind of chill and listen to audiobooks, that's fine. Maybe there's a book I really want to get through and that might be the objective. But oftentimes it's an objective about one particular business venture that I'm in the middle of and how I'd like. And so then I just allow my mind to wander, but I topically focus it. I give it myself the challenge, the focus point, but then I just allow it to go where it needs to go.
That's huge. That's huge. I'm glad that we got to that. I'll try not to interrupt you, but this is my stuff, right?
Well, then we'll just have to stretch it into a second podcast. That's
All right.
that's all.
All right. So my bad.
All right. So the next one that we've got here, number 2, is be willing to dive deep into your help desk. This is such a huge profit center. And most entrepreneurs look at this as, oh my God, I hate the help desk. It's something I gotta do. They're slow to respond to people, or they just loathe it and they really put off the help desk. And reality is, as a business owner, the help desk is probably one of your best indicators of what you're doing good, what you need to do better, how you can come up with new marketing ideas. Your customers will tell you. You'll see all kinds of things that many of them you'll just dismiss, and rightfully so, but others will be lead you down this path where you start to ask some questions and you'll uncover some really neat offers or tweaks or additional services that you could offer. I absolutely love going through the help desk to drive revenue. And I will tell you that as a salesperson, I get all kinds of data out of the help desk. And there's other ways that you can get into it as well. So number 3 is getting into preemptively shaming bad behavior. And this is why I segue directly after the help desk, because you also get all kinds of stories of just really bad behavior on the help desk, right? People that are absolutely who you do not want to attract. And so you can use that help desk content as fodder in your emails to preemptively shame the behavior. Now, when I say shame, everybody gets all butthurt about this word. I can just hear all the little wallflowers.
I can feel it.
I know. I don't feel it because I ignore it. But I'm sure they'll come. But look, shame, don't attach yourself to the. People get so worked up about words anymore. They think that manipulation is a bad word. No, we manipulate our children to do good all the time. It's a good word. It just, like anything, there's bad manipulation and good manipulation. Shame can be used very constructively in a business, but you don't want to shame an individual. You want to shame a behavior. And so when I'm talking about the help desk and using it to create great fodder for shaming bad behaviors, I'm not attacking a person. I'm not ever quoting that person's name or their business, or if it's something that's very specific, I might, not quote the entire email that they sent. I might just pull out a part of it. What I really want to do is hold up an illustration of what's not acceptable in my company, or hold up an illustration of what we don't tolerate from behavior, and then demonstrate our response to it. So I'm shaming the behavior, and I'm doing it preemptively. I use that word very specifically because if you preemptively shame the behavior, then you eliminate getting those clients, because the people that get irked or triggered or pissed off over that email where you're shaming somebody's low IQ thought reaction to some specific scenario, if they get twerked and offended by that and they go, well, guess what? They'll opt out of your list. Perfect. You don't have to worry about selling to them. You certainly don't have to worry about supporting them on the help desk. So what you're really doing is repulsion-based copywriting in this sense. You're using stories of bad scenarios, bad reactions, bad customer behavior, right? And you're telling them in a way that is conditioning the right people to say, oh yeah, I hate that when that happens. I want to learn from this guy. And the wrong people to say, whoa, what a jerk. And boom, I'm out of here. Good, unsub. There's the link, right? And that is this polarizing copy. And polarizing is a good thing. It's another one of these words. People get all triggered. Oh, he's too polarizing. Polarizing just means sorting between, the people that want to be there and the people that don't want to be there. Polarizing is a really good thing in your business because it allows you to create a very rabid list of people that really enjoy what you hear from, because they're either turned off or they're turned on. The worst thing that you want is an email list that's lukewarm. That's what you don't want. You want a list that's either on one extreme or the other, because then you know what's working and what's not. All right. So going on to number 4, if we shame the bad behavior, we also have to reward good behavior, the carrot and the stick. This is something that I do continually in lives where I have a bunch of people on the line. Somebody takes the time to ask a very articulate question. I send them out a bonus. I send them out a signed copy of one of my books. I reward that behavior. I've had people and I reward them with a consult where I help them out in their business for free for a half an hour or things to that nature. I'm constantly rewarding good behavior just as much as I'm shaming bad behavior. And what I'm doing is I'm training people on how to conduct business with me, because I'm training them on the constraints, the lines on the freeway, right? I'm painting the lines that they have to play within in order to transact with me. And by rewarding the good behavior, you're also getting people that are like, oh man, I knew I should have done this. I've been sitting on the sidelines. I should have asked that question. You're encouraging more engagement. You're getting people more motivated and excited to see things. And so you have to do both sides of it, right? It's not just about being a negative person, and I don't use shaming negatively either. I use it from the perspective of constructing the type of business that I want.
Yeah.
The right type of growth, the right type of growth, right?
I'm with you.
So number 3 was shaming bad behavior preemptively, right?
Yeah.
And then we want to, with number 4, reward the good behavior. And that is the uplifting, encouraging side of things. And all of this, honestly, I could be talking about email marketing, email cultivation, entrepreneurial growth. I could be talking about parenting. I can be talking about this relationship with your spouse. It's the same thing. There are the lines in the sand. This is what I deem to be inappropriate or bad behavior. This is what I deem to be good behavior. And I want to discourage one and encourage the other. So good old psychology, carrot and the stick, and use them both to your advantage. And a lot of this can come back from point number 3, which was the help desk, because there is so much story, fodder, and information contained within the details of your help desk if you're willing to spend the time trolling through it. because there's just a ton of information in there that can be very, very useful for your business. All right. The last one, number 5, is getting live more. I don't know how else to say it than that. Be alive. Be live in your communication. Get on, Facebook live streams, get on YouTube live streams, hold Zoom meetings where you require people to have their camera turned on so that you can actually engage people. And this is a perfect example of rewarding good behavior and shaming bad behavior. I will warn people that I'll kick you off if you don't come on screen on my calls. When I'm doing training calls, if people are there and I'm just looking at a black screen, that's bad behavior. To me, that's like talking with somebody and they're looking off to the side. They're not even looking at you in the eyes, right? You'd be irritated by that, right? So I shame the bad behavior, but then I reward the good behavior. So sometimes if I'm taking a more positive light on the lives, I will only take questions from the people that are on camera. And I'll reward them by going deeper with them. But I won't just do it. I'll make mention of it. Hey, Joan, good to see your smiling face. Unlike this lop over here, Alan, what the hell's up with Alan? I've been looking at a black screen for him for the last 20 minutes. So you know what, Joan? You are going to get the hot seat. Go ahead and unmute. Let's have that discussion. And so I do both in the same thing. I'm rewarding her. I'm pointing out the fact that I chose her because she's participating the way that I want to train her. And I'm doing that all in a live environment. When you get live, you can't fake it. It's really simple. You can't fake it. People can see your face. And when I say live, I don't mean just audio. I really do mean video, because audio and video have different levels of impact. But if you're doing a live stream, so I do some audio live streams like on Spaces on Twitter and stuff, that Ben and I will do different ones and things at times. So I definitely do that. And it's fun. And it's definitely more impactful than a recording. Way more impactful than a recording, because people see your responses real time and you can't fake it that way either. But when you can come on video, it's even more powerful, because now they see the words coming out your mouth. They see that it's you. They see who you are. They don't just
Not a deep fake.
See the face. It's not a deep fake. We're not quite yet. Although who knows with this AI, who knows where that's going. A funny story on that. They're using a lot of that with deep fake audios now, right? To scam people and like, hey, did you know, and doing all kinds of stuff. Well, they tried that to my brother-in-law down in Brazil, and they called him up and it was a deep fake audio. And it was, you've got to get 10,000 AIs wired into this account today. We've got your daughter and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, his response is really funny. They were threatening that they had kidnapped his daughter and holding a ransom. And that was what the deep fake call went. He's like, his response, he's like, yeah, she's a pain in the ass. You can have her, click. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, she was sitting right next to me in the car. So they didn't do their research real good on the timing of their deep fake. I guess they figured that, that they would randomly try it. But there's actually a lot of going on with that stuff. So, but being live, right? Being live allows people to build that relationship with you faster and at a deeper level. And it circumvents a lot of the jaded lack of trust initial reactions that people will have, because they can see you, they can connect with you, they know that you know what you're talking about, not that it was some perfectly orchestrated recording that you mapped out in a studio. And I think that has a lot of impact today, where people are more distrusting than they've ever been, and rightfully so. So the more you can go live, the better. And whether it's audio or video, whatever works best for you, but the more live you can be, the more impactful you're going to be in your sales.
So the list goes doing less more often. We talked about walks, being willing to dive deep into your help desk, which I thought was super interesting. And I think for people with client businesses, talking to your clients more often is just as good. Preemptively shaming bad behavior was number 3. Reward good behavior was number 4. And getting live more often, which really surprised me, was number 5. Is that right?
That's it, man. Put it to work and make it happen and prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Prove that it doesn't make more sales for you. I think you'll have a hard time proving me wrong. So there you go. And in the next episode, Jonathan, we are going to go back into a fun question that I get all the time. And that is, if you could go back in time and give yourself, a younger self, a piece of advice from today, what would that be? So tomorrow we're going to dive into that from the mind of Troy.
Looking forward to it. Another Go Berserk with Emails show is in the can. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back in your earbuds next time.
To get a free Berserker Mail test drive with no credit card required, go to startmytestdrive.com. From there, you can play around inside the platform without pressure. Load up emails and campaigns to see how simple the interface is, and get comfy with everything before deciding to join. That's startmytestdrive.com.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.